Well, according to the American Diabetes Association, in 2015, 30.3 million people were diagnosed with diabetes, which is 9.4% of the U.S. population. Now, diabetes continues to be a major issue, especially in the Bronx. But now, Bronx residents will have access to the new advanced treatment, helping to reduce the disease. And here now to tell us more about that relief and the Relief Center, we welcome now the principal and founder of Lewin and Associates, Dr. Jack Lewin, and we thank you so much for coming and being with us.
Thank you, Daren. It's a pleasure to be here.
Hey,
yeah, diabetes is an amazing chronic disease problem in the U.S. And in fact, the Bronx is 61st out of 61 counties in New York in terms of lower health status, and diabetes is one of the main contributors.
And so you work front and center really dealing with the issue of diabetes. Now, for those who may not know exactly what is diabetes and what causes diabetes, we're going to talk about that for a second. So,
Sure.
So what is diabetes for somebody who doesn't know?
Well, diabetes is a disease of metabolism in terms of being able to digest and metabolize carbohydrates, starches, sugars. And there's type 1 diabetes where the body doesn't make insulin, the hormone that helps sugar, glucose, get into the cells. Mm-hmm. Type 2 diabetes, it happens later in life for most people who acquire it. And it's a different disease. They have insulin, but they have insulin resistance. And so it's in essence the same. The cells of the body don't get the energy they need because glucose or sugar isn't going in to provide the turn into the energy source, something called ATP. So all the cells of the body are kind of starving, and they want the energy and sugar, but it can't get into the cell. Mm-hmm. So the result of that is manifest throughout the body. Eventually it can destroy the kidneys, it can destroy the eyes and retina, it causes peripheral nerve damage, numbness, and some people have amputations as a result of that because they don't feel the pressure developing and sores develop. Cardiac disease, I've been involved with cardiovascular research, and cardiovascular disease comes with diabetes over time. Mm-hmm. So diabetes is like a whole series of chronic diseases, all based on that inability to metabolize sugar.
And so here in the Bronx, there's the Diabetes Relief Center, and I want you to go front and center and explain to some people about the Relief Center and the services that's offered.
Okay. Well, this is based on a treatment called Trina that was developed in California by a man by the name of Ford Gilbert, who quit his law practice and went back to school and got a PhD in human physiology because his daughter had diabetes type 1 mm-hmm. and was very, very sick. And he decided he had to do something more than what was being offered. And so he developed this treatment approach, which has spread around the country in various clinics. Now, the first one is just opened yesterday mm-hmm. here in the Bronx, and it's a perfect place to have it. And it treat up to 500 people a month mm-hmm. To reduce the risks of those comorbidities, the neuropathy, the kidney disease, the eye disease, cardiovascular, and so forth. It's really interesting.
So how do you feel this makes the difference here?
Well, my job is really to do research mm-hmm. on this whole thing. I mean, this clearly there are thousands of patients who attest to this having saved them. Gotten rid of their neuropathy, gotten rid of all these other symptoms, and so that's really there. And there's some studies too that indicate that this is really fantastic. I'm going to be doing a large study with the University of California mm-hmm. That is going to look further into how this works and why it works. But it's clear that this is producing something very special.
Yeah, and so we want to tell you about the Trina treatment. If you want to find out more about it, of course, we ask that you get connected with Dr. Lewin and in the treatment relief program, when I should say the Relief Center, and you can find out more about it. So when you talk about treatment for diabetes, a couple of things. Number one, is diabetes preventable?
Well, not really. It's genetic. It's there. Mm-hmm. And it's not, people always think of it as, I caused this. If it's type 2 diabetes, I ate too much, I was overweight. But the reality is, no, this is a genetic thing that's happening to you. And part of the reason people get overweight with diabetes is because it creates this hunger in the cells of the body because the sugar isn't getting in there. Mm-hmm. People are never feeling satisfied. So it's not their fault.
Right. But I've heard, and we've heard people all the time say,
feeling guilty.
Feeling guilty, my fault.
No, this is something that's genetic. It's happening to you. And the Trina treatment actually it mimics the human pancreas, which when you eat a sugar meal that gets into your body, into your stomach, the pancreas begins to put out micro bursts of insulin, not a continuous infusion, but little bursts that get to the liver, turn the liver into the enzyme machine that it is, and the liver starts storing sugar as glycogen, and it sends messages to cells of the body to allow the sugar into the cell using insulin. So the microburst approach is trying to mimic the normal human pancreas for people with diabetes, and they get a 3-hour treatment once every week for about 3 months, and then once every 2 weeks thereafter, approximately. And we actually measure the change in metabolism, so we know it's working.
So you talked a little bit about doing the research, and what about results? How will we be able to measure, see results? Talk to us about that.
Yeah, people, what's reported in all these other clinics that are out there is that for people with neuropathy, usually in 3 months, the neuropathy, and 90% of the people who have been treated, the neuropathy goes away, or is so reduced that people are able to walk better and they don't have a risk of sores and amputations. It's a little more subtle in the kidney disease. You have to measure that kind of with lab tests to know it's there. But people's vision gets affected with diabetes too, and there are many, many claims that this has really made a huge difference in terms of preventing retinopathy. So we're going to actually take photographs of the retina before and at 3 months and 6 months to demonstrate the effects in the eye, and we'll be measuring the changes in sensation in the legs and so forth. But it's exciting research that I'm involved with, but the treatment is out there.
Right. So who are candidates for the Relief Center?
People who have diabetes and already have some complications developing. Obviously diet and exercise are still important in diabetes, and diabetes doesn't go away. People would still have to take their medications or their insulin. But people that are having neuropathy or eye problems or kidney problems or heart problems related to diabetes, they're the ideal people because we can slow that down. That's the whole concept here.
All right, so we want you to get in touch with Dr. Jack Lewin. Find out more about the Diabetes Relief Center. Please, you can go to their website, www.diabetesreliefcenters.com, and find out more there. You get in touch with Dr. Jack or any of the other staff. And
it's right at the hub, and people can even drop in and see it if they want to. It's at the corner of 148 and 3rd Avenue.
Yeah. And you said exciting because it's just now starting here in the borough.
It really is exciting.
All right, Dr. Jack Lewin, thanks so much.
Thanks, Daren.
Good to have you.
All right.
All right, listen, taking another break, and we'll return. We're going to hear about a very important event that families don't want to miss. We'll tell you exactly what that is when we return.